Good evening, music multiverse travelers. Welcome to a unique live show review from Beyond Your Radio. We're going to call this one Beyond Live. Yeah, real original. Anyway, there's no question that live experience of music changes our awareness, can heighten our experience, or even begin a deeper connection or appreciation for the artist, the band, throughout time and throughout the music multiverse. As an example, let's take Rush. There's the album. But seeing them live, hearing those songs done in that framework, took millions and millions by storm. Think of the Grateful Dead, where one might say the live experience is the experience. The albums are merely markers in time. Or a band like the Tragically Hip from Canada, where it's so unique a show that you're afraid to miss one. So what we're talking about here is the uniqueness, part of a band's livelihood in the industry, and even more glorious for us, the appreciators, the enthusiasts, and dedicated music aficionados. A live show is pretty much the quintessential part of music. One or more of our panelists have gone to see a live show, and they're going to talk about the show and the band, and we're going to have other panelists on to join us and talk about the history of the band, the catalog, and other things that might fall into the same wheelhouse of music, and how all these experiences rolled into one have affected their appreciation for the band or the artist. Tonight's show, Beyond Live, is tonight, Seven Nations. And our panelist, Mr. Jeffry Johnson, will be leading us in this discussion as he attended their show. Then I will then step in and review the band, the albums I've heard, and the catalog in general. Now I'll turn things over to Jeff.
Hi, guys, in happy Radio Land. So, yeah, I had the pleasure of seeing Seven Nations the other night on the 8th of April. It was unbelievable. I love it when I go to see, to me, what is basically an unknown band, because I had never heard of them, and they turn out to be, oh my God, why haven't I been listening for the last 10 years? They completely blow me away. Style, I don't know. They're rock, they're alternative, they're Scottish, they're Irish. They are a 57 Heinz. They're all over the place. Talent, every band member has talent. Some more than others, but let's start off with Kirk Mallede. He is the writer, the music master, the conductor, and he plays lead guitar, rhythm guitar, and piano. He was fabulous. If I had a problem with the whole concert, is that I was probably too close. I was in the second row. And I was right next to the bass speaker. So between the percussions and the bassist, I really had to listen hard to hear what I was supposed to hear. But without further ado, I would like to play a little video that I took of them, a little 3-minute video that I think you guys are going to just be blown away. And then they are right now on a national tour. They're doing all these places. Their tickets are cheap. If you have an Irish or a Scottish fair near you, most likely they will be there. They have like 70 dates throughout the end of the year. They're based out of New York. But without further ado, let's go into that clip here. Just let me load it up. Victor Gagnon.
So Jeff, where was the venue?
The venue was in the Palace Theater, circa 1913. It's a very old music house. It's probably the only real venue we have in Hilo, Hawaii. When you're a small town under 20,000, you don't really get great venues, but you do get some very interesting people. We've had some major celebrities come through because they just want to play a small town in Hawaii. So they get it. But it was, as I said, on the 8th of April. It was supposed to be an hour and a half show, and it turned out to be 2 hours and 20 some minutes. They ended up doing three encores. They also had some Hawaii Irish dancers.
Oh, wow.
And it was quite interesting. But they were from Honolulu, and they flew them over. And even though they look like no Hawaiian dancers Irish dancers I've ever seen before, they were quite entertaining. And they had gotten 7 locals to hold the flags behind the band and wave them with 7 nations on it.
Yeah, the 7 nations.
Yeah. So it was really good. I mean, the music was tight. Might been a little loud, but that I think more the sound mixer and the auditorium itself. They did a good mix of songs. They did 90% their own tunes, but they threw in a few covers here and there. They did, I guess, because they're also, treasure the Irish. They did a couple U2 songs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but
more on that when I talk.
Yeah, they were good. They were really, really good. I was quite impressed. I've already listened to 5 albums since the show. I really like it. I'm into it. I don't have any negatives really to say, except I'd like to see him again. As another case of note here is that this is the first time they've ever been, any of the band have ever been into Hawaii, let alone played Hawaii. So they had done, I believe, eight gigs on the islands. We were their last gig. They were heading for, I believe, Florida last Friday. So that's my review. You'll hear more. We have a real super duper lineup coming up at the Palace this year. So we may hear some real special things, You never know. They have a tendency to bring people who are walkers up to the stage. So we'll see what happens in the near future.
Yeah. Gonna be that unknown almond brother we didn't know about.
You never know, or unknown beetle for all we know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So for a little bit more information here and a little history. So the 7 Nations is it's basically Celtic rock. I mean, that's basically their wheelhouse. Formed in New York City, but now I think their main place of interest is Florida. I think most of the band members are there, from what I understand. But the Gaelic, the 7 Nations, right? So that's Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Brittany, Cornwall, and let's see, the Isle of Man, Galicia, Galicia. So that's where they get their name, right? So when they've been around since 1993, so it's 2 decades. Obviously they've had transformations, but I believe you're the guy you mentioned. He's pretty much been with the band since the beginning.
The founder.
Yeah. So Struby, that's the vocal, acoustic, and bass guitar he does. Christian Crisco Misselli, he's the drums and percussion.
The shortest drummer I've ever seen. You can hardly see him over the drum set.
Now they've had Julian Lamberston, who's been fiddle, and Brad Green, Highland bagpipes. Whether or not who they take with them, I don't know on tour, but those are some of the album reaches. The band regularly tours across the U.S. and has appeared in ESPN, CNN, World Beat, PBS, and CBS. They sold about 140,000 albums since 1996. And okay, all of us would say, well, gosh, you've been around for 20 years and you've only sold 140,000 albums. But what you have to realize about these guys is they have no record label. This is all selling this kind of stuff on their own. So that's independent, right? No major label. Successful release to date apparently is, and now it's come to this, which was actually on a label called Razor and Tie in 2002. The album's mainstream rock sound was considered to be a drastic change from the band's traditional style. And that's where we talk about the albums. So they have quite a few records, but a lot things in between are live records. They did 2 Christmas EPs. So in 1994 they do Rain and Thunder. Now that kind of falls into the Celtic rock, more acoustic type of genre, and that's kind of where they went with Old Ground, Big Dog. Then they had a 2-volume live set called Roadkill, The Factory in 1999, and Picto, I think is the Picto Sessions in 2000, another kind of live recording. And then Seven Nations comes in. This is where the band started to blend alternative rock, and they're trying to bridge that gap, like the Dropkick Murphys, the Flogging Mollies, Great Big Sea, Waterboys. Instead of being in that vein of the Dubliners, the Chieftains, Celtic Woman, or Clannad. I've never listened to them. CLANNAD. I mean, this is sort of out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I've listened to Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, Great Big Sea, especially Great Big Sea, and Waterboys. It's Canadian. So then a lot of these live. So one of the albums that I was really impressed with was Thanks for Waiting. I like the Seven Nations. And just what was that? Time as the Enemy. This was my favorite. It reminded me how I like the genre presented. The violin addition or whatever it was in string, there was a lot of hop-like feel, high energy. I'm not saying that I don't mind vocals, but when they don't have the vocals, it just seems like the energy's higher, right? Like that there's dueling bagpipes, so to speak, or dueling bagpipe to string. I thought that was pretty cool. And Tales from the Eighth Nation is the last recording the album they made. It was in 2014. And then Kerr, which is Kirk McLeod's latest project in 2016. That's just him embarking on an original endeavor. So he's taking these Gaelic combination of mouth music and into a popular form. I don't have a background in it, so I don't understand it, but I thought it was cool. Just now talking about the U2 cover, I thought maybe they might have done a Cure cover, because they actually did an entire Cure covers record. They covered the Cure in an entire album. It's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. I mean, Cure's, that's shoegaze rock from the 80s, and they did a pretty interesting job of it. For me, again, they're strongest when the vocals are a little bit out for me. But it's still a really tight band, like you said. They put together good stuff, and they fall in those categories that I mentioned, those other bands. Maybe not the drunken Dropkick Murphy, Flogging Molly stuff, but you got anything else to add, Jeff?
Yeah, I do. So the fiddle player they have now, I don't know who it is. It's not the one in the band's bio. I know he hails from Seattle, and he's been with the band around 3 years.
Okay.
He has a repertoire of instruments, which is incredible. He plays 3 different types of bagpipe, one I've never seen before. He plays 4 kinds of flutes and 2 different style guitars. I mean,
wow.
Violins.
Okay.
And he's incredible. The guy.
Were they electric violin too, probably?
One was, one wasn't.
Okay. This kind of makes sense.
Yeah, he played a straight acoustic one where he had to sit next to the mic, and he had a plug-in one. But he also had a plug-in bagpipe, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, that's totally unique, right?
Yeah.
Plug-in bagpipe, right?
Yep.
Wow.
And he's great at the flutes. They had a lot more Scottish and Irish influence in that live show that I just saw than and the 5 albums I've listened to. So they may be bringing this new guy in, the violinist and bagpipist, to do a stronger role in the band. They said they're working on on another album that should be out in December.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and as a cross note, yeah, because I talked to him for a few minutes when they were out selling albums and stuff, and he does most of the recording in his home studio.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't mention that. They're recording themselves as well. So they've learned a lot over the years, I can tell, in the recording.
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised the label hasn't picked them up. I think they're that good.
yeah, I'm kind of I guess, again, it's a very niche market, and maybe most of these probably don't think it's in the wheelhouse of making money. The band makes more money probably on tour than they do album wise.
Or maybe the band doesn't want to give up any loose change.
Yeah, that's hey, if you're doing it, why hand it over, right? Who needs a record label?
100,000 albums. You're doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, if you know what you're doing, yeah, playing with other people and having a good time. So on a note before I sign off, we'll do this again. It kind of a cool concept. As a matter of fact, I was at a show last night. That'll probably be our next one. I was at a show with Clutch was the lead, and I'd never seen them before, and I have every record. And opening for them was Amigo the Devil and a gentleman by the name of Nate Bergman, who kind of opened the show in a wild and unique way. So I got to talk to some of these people. So we'll do this again, probably in a couple Mondays from now.
And I will host this one.
Great. You do the opposite, right? So I want to thank Jeff for getting this and putting this together and seeing the band Seven Nations. Hopefully it's exposed some new music for those tuning in. That's the whole idea and premise behind everything we do.
Watch for them on tour. Don't forget to do that.
Yep. We'll do this again, like I said. We're on the web, www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, please like, comment, and subscribe. Patreon's coming soon. I kind of talked about that at the last concert I was at. More new shows coming and plenty of articles on our website, including Music Bites, Album Review Saturday, and Unknown Sundays. Happy listening, everyone. Here we go.